Coming up on KOTA Territory News at 5:30, Representative Dusty Johnson lays out his priorities for when Congress reconvenes next month. Plus, what Governor Larry Roden is doing to increase beef exports to foreign countries. And we'll have the latest on the condition of a young girl involved in a collision with a truck last night. Your news starts right now.
From Skyline Drive, this is KOTA Territory News at 5:30.
Thanks for joining us on this Thursday night. I'm Phil Aldridge. We have an update on the child who collided with a pickup truck Wednesday night in Rapid Valley. The South Dakota Highway Patrol says at 7:25 last night, an 8-year-old girl riding her bike was seriously hurt in the crash. The patrol says the 28-year-old man driving a GMC pickup was traveling north on Aurora Drive when the girl went into the road from the driveway and collided with the pickup. Authorities say the girl was wearing a helmet. The South Dakota Highway Patrol is investigating the crash. Well, it wasn't as hot today across KOTA territory, but will temperatures keep falling as we head into the weekend? Chief Meteorologist David Stradling's in the First Alert Weather Center to let us know. Felt better today, David.
Yes, it did. We didn't have that temperature hit 100 degrees like it did yesterday, and we were in the 80s thanks to some of that cloud cover. It was a little breezy at times today, especially as that front moved through, but when we look outside right now, not too bad. Still picking up a lot of sunshine here in KOTA territory. Hottest air, well, it's towards Phillip and Pine Ridge, where it's both 92 degrees. Many of the rest of us are in the 80s with 77 towards Custer. Winds out of the north anywhere from 10 to 25 miles per hour with the strongest winds across western South Dakota, especially out towards the plains. It's pretty quiet right now. We have had a few showers spark off that front that moved through earlier, but we could have a couple more moving through, and we're noticing that cluster towards the southern Bighorns right now. We'll be keeping a very close eye on that one as we move towards the evening hours. If it holds up, we may be looking at it impacting the concert at the Central States Fair later on. I'll detail that for you coming up.
Little John in concert out there tonight. Well, South Dakota Governor Larry Roden wants to beef up beef exports into foreign markets. KOTA Territory's Brian Savage tells us about the governor's trade mission into the United Kingdom and Ireland and how area ranchers believe it'll benefit one of the biggest industries in our state.
Governor Roden is spearheading a business-driven trade mission into Ireland and the UK. Through his trip across the pond, Roden looks to take advantage of trade agreement frameworks that were announced recently between the U.S., European Union, and the UK. The agreement promotes South Dakota's beef and ethanol industries, key components in the UK agreement. A marketing agent for the Belfouche livestock market hopes Roden's efforts in tapping into foreign trade markets will benefit him and other ranchers.
Beef exports as a whole have been down somewhat lately, but the United States demand for this beef has been so strong that it's kind of hard for these other countries to compete right now.
Perotic says there are fewer cattle and beef prices have hit an all-time high.
Even today we had a lighter run, but just as high for these feeder cattle prices here today as we've ever had.
In July, beef prices increased to a record high, $6.34 per pound. Uncooked beef steaks also set a new record last month when they reached $11.88 a pound. Another rancher says these increases in beef prices needed to happen.
When you consider a tractor tires $1,500 and the price of fuel and the machinery and stuff, so I think it's been really good for our industry to be where they are.
However, he hopes the high demand in beef doesn't lead to people not being able to afford to put beef on their tables.
There's always a concern that if it gets to where your general consumer can't afford to put beef on their plate and they're going to go to pork or chicken, then yeah, that's going to affect our market.
The president and CEO of South Dakota Trade, Jesse Ellis Fonkert, says the overseas mission is to develop trust and open doors for businesses in South Dakota. In Belfouche, Brian Savage, KOTA Territory News.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Congress will reconvene next month in Washington, D.C., and Representative Dusty Johnson says lawmakers have a lot on their plates.
We need to get the farm bill done. We need to make sure that the annual defense bill, which is really important for Ellsworth, gets done. And then we don't want to shut down the government. On September 30th, if we don't get our work done, the government shuts down. Shutdowns are stupid. They do not make America stronger. So we got a lot of work to do when we get back.
Congressman Johnson says he's pushing House Speaker Mike Johnson to bring his bill to the floor that would ban lawmakers from buying or selling stocks. The bipartisan bill was reintroduced at the beginning of the year. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has expressed his support for rules changes to speed up the confirmation of President Trump's nominees. As KOTA Territory's Blake Trolley reports, the Majority Leader criticized Democrats for holding up the process.
Thune says Senate Democrats are forcing multiple votes and tying up the Senate on nominees that have broad bipartisan support. The senator blaming part of the problem on the current political landscape.
We call it whatever you want to call it, Trump derangement syndrome or whatever, but there are a number of Democrats who are objecting to any Republican, any Trump nominee coming through the Senate right now getting a vote. It like has been done routinely in the past, where a lot of them just kind of, if they're qualified and they got bipartisan support, we just clear them.
Thune pointed to the chokehold on nominees as a factor in the current Senate being the busiest in both hours of session and votes cast in the last 35 years. He says senators will likely be eyeing rule changes to expedite nominees.
Not just for this president, but for future presidents, because if you're sitting here in August and you've only got 10 or 11% of the people that you've nominated for these positions actually confirmed, something is broken, and that's where we are.
Thune said recess appointments are not off the table, but cautioned that the appointees would be temporary, unpaid hires. According to Thune's office, so far, 135 of President Trump's nominees have been confirmed, and 145 are pending. Roughly 1,200 nominees in total have to be confirmed for the administration. In Rapid City, Blake Trolley, KOTA Territory News.
Thank you, Blake. Rapid City Mayor Jason Solomon was in Sioux Falls on Wednesday with Attorney General Marty Jackley addressing the opioid crisis. The mayor said he wants to focus on 3 areas: prevention, treatment, and accountability. The state of South Dakota is expecting to get $79 million over 18 years from the National Opioid Settlement. And he says that money will help provide effective treatment options that'll pay dividends down the road.
We are very fortunate to have these settlement dollars that Attorney General Jackley fought so hard for, and rather than just let them kind of sit there or throw a little bit out, a little bit out here and there, why don't we actually look to make a big impact? And that's what we're talking about here today.
Mayor Solomon was also asked about the proposed ban in Rapid City on tianeptine, aka gas station heroin. He said he hopes it'll be banned statewide, but that alcohol is the drug of choice in Rapid City by far. And that needs to be addressed. Agencies from South Dakota and Wyoming are searching for a St. Ange woman who's been missing since Monday. 65-year-old Linda Thacker was last seen by family members around 1 p.m. A family member told KOTA Territory News the last known contact was an unanswered text message at 7:31 Monday night. The search for Thatcher began with a welfare check on Tuesday by the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office. Thatcher's vehicle, a silver 4-door sedan, was found in a remote area of the Black Hills about 10 miles north of Beulah, Wyoming, near the South Dakota state line. Thatcher is 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighs 150 pounds. She was wearing a blue shirt and jean shorts. If you have any information that could help in the search, you're urged to call the Crook County Sheriff's Office at 307-282-1225. A Wyoming man has been officially charged with animal cruelty nearly a year and a half after his case made national headlines. In February of 2024, Cody Roberts is alleged to have hit a wolf with a snowmobile, bound the wounded animal's mouth with tape, and brought it to a rural bar to show it off. Roberts is then alleged to have killed the animal. Photos of Roberts posing with the captured wolf were widely circulated. Later in 2024, Roberts paid a $250 fine for illegal possession of wildlife, and now he's being indicted by a grand jury on a charge of animal cruelty. If convicted, Roberts could be sentenced up to 2 years in prison, plus a $5,000 fine. Wyoming law is generally liberal when it comes to killing wolves in a variety of ways in most areas in the state. Well, it looks like things might finally be cooling off in time for the weekend. We'll have your accurate first alert forecast coming up later in the newscast. But up next, this week's KOTA Cares highlights a nonprofit working to relieve hospital debt. Stay with us. On this week's KOTA Cares, we're digging into medical debt. It's the leading cause of bankruptcy in the U.S., affecting 1 in 5 households. But a nonprofit known as $4 is working to change that. As KOTA Territory's Jasmine Davis reports, it just hit a major milestone, relieving more than $100 million in hospital debt.
Millions of Americans are barely making ends meet. even just one medical emergency can push people into poverty. The burden of medical debt falls hard on uninsured adults, women, people of color, and rural communities. Jared Walker, the founder of $4, discussed the toll medical debt has on individuals and families daily.
We have people that, can't pay their rent, can't put food on the table, can't buy a car to get to work. Lots of other barriers happen when you have these big medical bills. You don't choose to have an emergency or go to the hospital. So it impacts people's lives in a lot of different ways.
$4 allows individual patients to access hospital financial programs that reduce medical bills while also holding hospitals accountable. Walker also shared how the organization has relieved medical debt locally.
Specifically in South Dakota, I know that we've submitted over 100 applications for patients that has resulted in relieving over $250,000 in medical debt.
Patients also report lower stress levels, better health, and improved food access after getting the help they need. If you're struggling with medical debt or want to donate to their cause, visit our website at KOTATV.com. In Rapid City, Jasmine Davis, KOTA Territory News.
Chief Meteorologist David Stradling is tracking storm chances tonight through tomorrow. You'll have the details coming up next in the accurate First Alert forecast.
Now, the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist David Stradling.
Not as hot today as it has been over the past few days. Temperatures right now holding steady in the 80s for many of us in KOTA territory. We do have some 90s out on the South Dakota plains from Pine Ridge to Phillip, but they were closer to 100 yesterday. We did get up to 100 downtown Rapid City. The airport currently at 87. We're 85 over towards Sheridan in the Bighorns. 70s from Custer up towards Nemo, Lead, and Spearfish. Downtown Rapid City currently 85. A few of our sites right now are down, but we're going to be seeing if those can come back up later tonight or sometime tomorrow. Right now, wind speeds are out of the north, anywhere from 10 to 25 miles per hour for many spots in western South Dakota, anywhere from about 5 to 15 miles per hour in Wyoming. So the strongest gusts are on the plains of South Dakota, and we'll be watching for a few storms that move in later on. We have a cluster of storms right now that have formed over towards northwestern Wyoming, moving over the southern Bighorn Mountains now. These will be sliding eastward through Campbell County into West and Crook counties, and eventually parts of western South Dakota through the evening hours. Now, how are we looking on timing with these storms? We also have a bunch of other storms that are going to form up behind them throughout the night. But right now, the latest data is kind of both trending towards moving those storms into South Dakota, especially the Rapid City area for those going to the Lil Jon concert tonight, about 10 p.m. or later. So that's going to be something we'll watch. Here's about 10 o'clock right there, and then we'll be sliding some of those storms in. Now, this is just a simulation, so this isn't exactly what we're going to be seeing on radar, but it just gives us an idea of some of that timing of what we're expecting with those storms. 61 for a low tonight with isolated storms. Storm chances continue tomorrow, high of 77. It'll be isolated. They'll be off and on throughout the day. So as we look at the night, we'll have a few of those storms continuing into the morning and middle of the day tomorrow. But by tomorrow evening, much of that moisture should be pulling away. However, we could have isolated showers or thunderstorms Friday night into early Saturday morning before clouds clear up and give us a little bit of sunshine to begin the weekend. It'll be mild in the mid-70s, comfortable both days. Partly cloudy Saturday, but mostly sunny by the time we get to Sunday. Overnight tonight, isolated storms, lighter winds, and temperatures ranging from the 50s to the 60s. So a bit more refreshing waking up and getting outside in the morning. For the rest of the day, we'll climb up into the 70s for many, a few 60s into parts of the hills, and 80s on the South Dakota plains. Now, as we take a look at Wyoming, we are having temperatures stay pretty close to 80 towards Sheridan, with 70s into Gillette, Sundance, and Newcastle. Best chance of storms will be throughout the day tomorrow, drying up through the weekend. Into the Black Hills region, Spearfish, Deadwood, going to be looking at temperatures in the 70s, 60s for Custer, but 70s to near 80 into Hot Springs, with also Friday being the best chance for storms. And into the South Dakota plains, Friday is the best chance for storms. Temperatures will be in the 80s to end the week, but it looks like we're all falling into the 70s. Some of us, like Phillip and Pine Ridge, close to 80 over the weekend, looking pretty nice. Into Rapid City, those temperatures will hold steady City in the 70s through early next week. 80 by Wednesday, 82 on Thursday. A couple of storm chances for Friday and maybe Saturday morning, but looking like Monday and Thursday next week could bring a couple of chances as well.
It's great to see those 70s as highs back in the forecast.
Yeah, a nice little relief from the heat we just had, so we'll enjoy kind of an early fall, but we'll get that heat back, I'm sure, a few more times.
Looking forward to the cool weather. Thank you, David. Well, straight ahead in sports, area Cowboys and Cowgirls performed very well at this year's Range Days Rodeo. We'll have a recap. And we check in with the Black Hills State football team. The Yellow Jackets getting ready to kick off the new season 1 week from tonight. Nick Quick has the details next in KOTA Sports.
Happy dinner time, everybody. Rush forward, Mauricio Colella has signed on for his 3rd season with the team. Last year, Colella scored 10 goals and racked up 26 assists in 70 games. He also provides some valuable leadership, serving as the team's alternate captain. Colella is also quite durable, missing just 2 games in the last 2 seasons. The local college football season kicks off next week. Black Hills State hits the field next Thursday night, a week from tonight, when it hosts the University of Sioux Falls. Josh Bresky is set to enter his 6th season as head coach of the Yellow Jackets. The Black Hills State finished last year with a 6-5 record. The BH offense may have a bit of a new look this season as Dave Schramm steps in as offensive coordinator. Senior quarterback Luca Drewby is competing for the starting job under center, and Drewby likes the makeup of this year's team.
New playbook, right, from last year, new coordinator. Some of the stuff stays, some of the stuff is different. But the biggest thing I think is just the chemistry, right, with the guys. I know these guys, right? I know them pretty well now. I've been here over a year, and they know me. They know what I expect, and that goes for everybody from wide receivers to defensive line, you know, even stuff around the locker room and stuff like that.
There were a couple position groups that we were really, I don't know if the concerned is the right word, but there was just a lot of question marks. Really with our offensive line and our defensive back group. There's competition in our quarterback room right now. And I mean, it's become pretty apparent to all of us coaches really quickly that our guys have been working their butts off this summer.
Black Hills State hosts the University of Sioux Falls next Thursday night at Lyle Hare Stadium. Going to be fun. After racking up a 6-4 record last season and qualifying for the state playoffs, the Dupree football team is determined to deliver another strong campaign. The Tigers kick things off tomorrow night when they host Lyman. The Raiders finished with a 3-5 mark last year. Kickoff is at 6 o'clock tomorrow night in Dupree. Local fans saw some great action at the 80th edition of the Range Days Rodeo. Rapid City Shane O'Connell turned in an 84-point bareback ride on Lunatic last night to earn a share of the 2nd place check. This guy here, California's Jason Frost, claimed the top spot in bareback with an 85.5. Woonsocket's Tanner Christian won bull riding with an 81. Ross Griffin took first in saddle bronc with an 84.5. Emmett Edler and Riley Rice tied for first in steer wrestling with a time of 4.1 seconds. And Ogallala's Billy Bolden, who we see there, finished 5th with a nice time of 4.7 last night. Let's take a look at some of the other winners from out at the Range Days at Rodeo. Devin McDaniel and Chris Young took first in team roping with a time of 4.5 seconds. Haven Meggett and Ty Mosier tied for first in team roping, checking in at 9.1. And Ulrich's Lisa Lockhart took home the barrel racing first place check, finishing off the job at 17.01 seconds. As Lisa Lockhart continues to get things done in the world of the PRCA. A lot of fun. I enjoyed being out there the last 3 nights at the Range Days Rodeo. This was the 80th edition. It's a great event that we have here every summer. All right, Major League Baseball tonight over on Fox. You can catch the Red Sox and the Yankees. That's going on right now, so switch over there once we're done with the news, or you can keep watching Wheel of Fortune. It's your call. And don't forget, tomorrow night, high school football starts for 11B and 9-man teams. Should be fun. And we'll have all the highlights and scores for you tomorrow night on the season's first edition of the Friday Night Hike.
Tracking some storms this evening, Phil. We could be seeing them impact the Little John concert maybe later on, but let's take a look at First Alert Doppler radar. Now, we are tracking that storm, Southern Bighorns. It is a stronger storm, actually severe warning for hail and wind that'll continue to be moving eastward our way. We'll have a few more storms behind that that'll stick around throughout the night as well. More storms tomorrow at 77. We'll keep temperatures below average through the middle of next week.
So they won't need umbrellas out at the Little John concert tonight, huh?
No, not quite.
See you at 10.
Thanks for watching KOTA Territory News, your local news and weather authority.